Hi everyone. It's very proper and befitting that we finish this course with the Enlightenment because it really takes us back to the beginning of this course when we discussed the body of values and ideals that are associated with Europe and specifically with Western Europe. And I told you that in this course you will not merely learn a chronological sequence of events of European history, but you will also learn how to problematize the notion of Europe and what it means to be European. So let's close this circle and look at some of the values and ideals that we discussed at the very beginning of this course and see where we are now. So probably one of the major values and ideals most associated with Europe is that of human dignity. And indeed, on the one hand, we see that from the Renaissance onwards, there is this perception that man is at the center of things, that man, the life of man here on earth really matters, has a significance, and it's not only a bridge to eternal life or to the salvation of the soul. But on the other hand, we see that from the 17th century onward, slavery receives this emphasis, this focus that was not seen before in the history of Europe. We see that non-Christians, such as Jews or lepers, leopards as a form of another minority group, actually receive no dignity from European society and European culture. And it's not only slaves or Jews or lepers that are being persecuted, but of course also women really don't have an equal status and the same kind of dignity that men has. Um, and perhaps the notion is that it's man and not woman in the center of all things that really rules at the end of this period. So we can problematize, we can ask ourselves, can we really talk about the dignity of men when we talk about Europe and European culture? The second ideal is that of justice, the idea that any person, no matter the economic background, the social status, and so forth, has the same kind of rights when it comes to the law as anyone else. So there's this notion on the one hand, but then on the other hand, we see a form of government known as absolutism. You've read about it, I'm sure, especially in the context of Louis XIV, the King of France. The notion that the ruler is above the law. He makes the law, but he doesn't answer to the law. So again, can we talk about justice at the end of this course? Another important European value associated with being European is that of rationalism, the idea that we can provide rational explanation and we should provide a rational examination for any kind of phenomena, including religious phenomena. So on the one hand, we see that trend beginning all the way from scholasticism in the 12th century and going all the way, of course, to the Enlightenment and its emphasis on education and rationalism. But on the other hand, we have this horrible example of the terrible effects of the religious wars of the 16th and 17th century, which are anything but rational. And then finally, there's this ideal of progress, this optimistic notion that the position of society, that the status of man has this positive linear progression with time and education and so forth. But again, at the end of this course, we should be looking at the status of minorities, the status of women, and and ask ourselves whether we can really talk about progress in these terms, or are we only talking about progress in technological terms? I mean, Europeans definitely learned how to use technology in a way that would enable them to kill more people. Wars became much more progressed. And of course, we see progress in all kinds of artistic techniques and so forth. But can we talk about progress in moral terms? So just to conclude, Europe is both a chronological, is both a geographical location and a body of values and ideas. But now, after taking this course, you have the ability to problematize the notion of Europe. You have a better understanding, a better sense of the historical processes that stand behind these ideals that are so commonly associated with Europe. Um, and you have a better understanding of what it means to be European.